Spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
Hello, Scott. How are ya?
Ooh, it's hot. It's hot coffee. Oh, it's a prop? My Bank of Blue Valley cup.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. I didn't get you flowers, but maybe I can stop by and get you chocolate. That's my life loves chocolate, no flowers.
I love chocolate too. I think that's a pretty safe bet for most women that have to deal with children and running them around and all the things. I've got to be honest with you. I would have not known it was our anniversary if LinkedIn hadn't told me, but I feel like we've come a long way in 3 years of just connecting on LinkedIn, which is how, by the way, Scott and I met. And that's why we're both so geeked out about LinkedIn all the time.
Well, you are potentially, one would argue, the most recognizable person on LinkedIn in Kansas City, which is how you got a LinkedIn license, which you were super nice to include me and include Bank of Blue Valley and include our amazing panelists. So thank you, Aaron, for being great at what you do. Anyone that wants to have content that pops, Lily and James Creative, ready to roll. But
you are hired. Look at this.
Madison.
Madison Madison and I work together. And Joel, you are so steady. I really appreciate you being here. Say hello if you are here and celebrating Scott and I's anniversary with us. This is pretty exciting. Our friendship lasts longer than my last marriage. So I'm really proud of us for this, okay? So here's the deal. Do you know what we're going to do Friday?
Are we doing cannonballs in a pool?
We can do that before or after, but we get to meet the new CEO of Bank of Blue Valley.
Ah, yes. Ooh, a lot of history, lots of tradition. People don't realize Bank of Blue Valley is a top 10, potentially top 6, 7 banking institution in Kansas City, and their parent company is one of the largest in the country.
So we get to finally meet the new CEO, and we are so excited. So expect us coming back with a lot of energy next week after the long weekend. Lakeisha says, yes, she is here. Don says, hello. Let us know if you're over here. And guess what? Guess who's here? Mr. I wish. I'm going to say this right now. I'm putting it on record out here in front of everybody. Change it to Dan Smith. You do not go by Daniel in day-to-day life. I've begged this of you for 3 years. Kelsey is here, and Matt is here. And Matt sent me the nicest text the other day. If you ever want to just make somebody's day, just text him randomly that you appreciate.
I was talking about Matt on Sunday, actually in a pool with a mutual friend. We were watching our kids, and Don Carter, man, that guy looks phenomenal.
That is a good picture. Yeah. And Raquel's here as well.
Work with his company.
Let us know if you're watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and say hello. We've got some great people here. Lindsay as well. Taco Tuesday. I love that. Lindsay always knows the days. All right, sir. Let's do this. I've got a phenomenal song today that has since closed out.
Real quick, before you do the song, you mentioned right before we go on the show, you prep everyone, and I'm late coming on, and you're like, do you know everyone? I'm scared. There's so much activity going on in the comments. This panel just must be nuts.
It's a fire
because someone's very popular, or multiple panelists are very popular. There's lots of action going on.
And Lori says she is excited. So let's get going. Okay. I don't know how the song, it sounded good on the first couple seconds, but it could take a turn for the worse, but we're going to try it. And I got to tell you, 5 seconds why I'm trying this song, because I want to uplift somebody that maybe got a setback. So last week I got this email. It said, Aaron, we need a speaker. We had speakers drop out because of COVID. We need a speaker. Will you come speak? I said, absolutely. Biggest conference in my industry in America. Keynote speaker, Snoop Dogg. Huge, huge conference. The next day I got an email. They said, we're so sorry because of what's going on. We had to cut the stage. We'll keep you in mind for next year. Totally up to totally down, right? Pre-COVID, that would have broke me. This year I said, well, then I better start prepping for next year, right? And if it doesn't have next year, I got to prep for the next year. So if anybody's having a week like mine, just remember that. And so in honor of me getting cut, I'm going to play this. You ready? Hold on, here it comes. Because I'm playing the karaoke track. They got to give you a couple seconds. You like it? All right, here we go. We're going to go ladies first. This is who Lori said she is here to see. Welcome, Kim. Our next guest today is Kelly.
Hi.
We've got Charon.
Hey.
And last but certainly not least, I like his last name, so I'm going to stay with it. Mr. Derek Fine.
Woo!
That's kind of a fire last name, if you ask me.
That's the only reason my wife married me.
I know. I might have married you just to get that last name, Derek. Back in the day. That's a great last name. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It looks like you guys, everybody is ready. She says, hey, Kim. So, Kim, we're going to start with you. You got a whole panel over here. And real quick, Madison, your stepdad's watching, all right? He's watching you in his comments. So, Kim, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Hey, I'm Kim Randolph. I'm the president and CEO of the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce. I actually just try to be here for small businesses in my community. I am an activist. I'm a business owner. I own a construction management firm called InkU, and I'm a JV partner with the construction management firm out of St. Louis. How do I get to Kansas City? Hey, I was born in St. Louis. My daddy brought me here, so that's how I got to Kansas City. But you get to Kansas City just by being a Kansas Citian.
So, question, how do you join your chamber, and how did you get involved in the chamber to do what you're doing today?
So I'm going to answer the last question first. So I actually was a member of the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce. I joined the chamber in 2014 and became active. I utilized the services that the chamber offered, ended up on the board and then on the executive board. And in 2018, my predecessor got asked to come on board to the mayor of KCK, and I was kind of coerced into being an interim, and by September-ish, I became the CEO. The way that you become a member of the chamber is really easy. You get involved. You come to some of our events, or you can go online, www.heartlandblackchamber.com. You can stop our Missouri office at 4001 Blue Parkway, Kansas City, Missouri. You can call me, 913-948-7680. There's many ways that you can get involved. And then you can also link in to Erin because she knows how to reach me.
Can I ask a question that is nobody else will ever ask you on a live show, but I think it's really important.
I don't know, Erin. That's kind of scary, Erin. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that people know.
The question is, am I required to answer all questions?
You're not. Do you have to be black to join the Black Chamber?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll just say absolutely not. We have members that are of every ethnicity. We're partners. As a matter of fact, one of my biggest partners in crime is Carlos Gomez of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We spend a lot of time together, but absolutely not. And if you'd like proof of that, come on out to the Urban Youth Academy on Sunday between 9 and 4 to our softball tournament. And it is open to the public, and you can bring your kiddos.
Yeah, I sat on the Hispanic Chambers board for a couple of years, and people would always say, oh, I didn't realize you were Hispanic. I'm like, I'm not, but it's one of the best things I ever did, because if you're always surrounding yourself with people like you're not learning nothing, right? And
absolutely not.
I love that.
Absolutely not. And how are we going to ever learn to live together and work together if we don't be together? So, I mean, we always talk about being included, but we want to have exclusive clubs. It doesn't work.
Kim, it sounds like you and Carlos probably don't have any fun together. You guys sound like you're big introverts, and you don't like making other people laugh. You sound like you're really calm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're always getting ready to get kicked out of something if we're together.
That's awesome.
I was thinking one day we should have all the chamber CEOs on here and then just see if we get anything done, right? Because you've got to have a big personality to carry a membership like that. Well, you've got a ton of people over here. Jeff says, Kim Randolph is a rock star. You should be charging admission today. Hey, Jeff, we'll give you our Venmo. You just stay tuned, okay? Well, Kim, thank you so much for coming on. Kelly, who are you? What do you do? How do you get to Kansas City?
Hi there. Well, she is a tough act to follow. Kim, you have quite the fan club. So I'm Kelly Landry. I own CONA Wealth, and I am a financial planner, or numbers nerd, some people like to call me, I've been doing this 22 years. I'll start with how I ended up in Kansas City. I came out here for a conference in 2006. I was born and raised in Burbank, California. If you don't know where that is, it's like LA. I actually went to, I swear to God, Disney Elementary School. Can't make that one up, right? And I lived there my whole life. And then I moved like 15 miles north to a city called Santa Clarita. So I had lived in like this much of the world. And I came out here for a conference and I fell in love in 2006. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It was the end of November. It was like mid 60s and they were telling me it was warmer than normal. And I'm like, whatever, it's beautiful. And I really said I wanted to live here someday. And in 2008, I met my now husband, who was traveling from Kansas City to Burbank for business, unbelievably. And I told him, I love Kansas City. And he's like, you must have been there, because most people here just call it flyover country. And I'm like, no, I love it. So 7 years later, once my kids were adults, we got married, and I've lived here now for 6 years and absolutely love it here. Love it, love it. I got here right before the Royals won the World Series. So I kind of dropped the Dodgers, like, I'll still wear my shirts if the Royals aren't in the playoffs, and they are. And we have Chiefs season tickets. I mean, I just think it's fabulous here. So anyway, as far as what I do, obviously I said I'm a financial planner. And one of the things, there's a million of us out there, but I work truly holistically with my clients. I don't have any cookie cutter solutions. I look at each client and try to come up with a customized solution for them. I have a partner in Los Angeles. We also have a team of CPAs and CFPs that we also work with to help us develop portfolios and, whatever they need. We work with both individuals as well as small businesses and solopreneurs. I've found that business owners, especially small business owners, often get overlooked. And they have exit needs that they want to look at, as far as how do I make sure I can get out of this business at some point? And if I end up disabled, what do I do? And if I don't end up disabled, how do I sell it or whatever? And I don't obviously do the sales, but I help them come up with a plan to where they can retire and feel comfortable someday. And at the end of the day, my biggest thing is I always, always, always try to do what's right and in my client's best interest. I always have. Even when I was a broke single mom in Los Angeles, I never looked at the commissions, and in fact got rid of the licenses that paid me commissions on investments, just so that I could be very transparent and people would know exactly what I was doing.
So one question I have that's a business question is, why are you kind of educate the audience on why you're seeing a lot of activity with people potentially buying and selling their businesses? I mean, a lot of people are worried about whether it's taxes or capital gains or a debt ceiling. So why do you feel that people are interested in selling their business, and how do you coach them through that process? And I know I'm asking you a very question that takes an hour and asking you to condense it in 2 minutes, but why are you seeing more activity, and how do you help people when they do make that decision?
Well, the first thing is I really believe one of the biggest reasons people are wanting to sell right now is COVID has made people really reassess what's important to them. I have a lot of clients who are self-employed who are maybe 55, 60, 65. Some of them are even 70 plus, love what they do. But after what has happened with this pandemic, especially if they know somebody who's gotten very sick or died from it. They're just like, you know what, life is too short. I want to do this now, and I want to be able to enjoy my retirement. That's one of the biggest things I'm seeing. And also I've seen people have reassessed what's most important to them, like I said, as a result of that. So it might be, hey, I'm willing to downsize. Like I have clients that lived in Redondo Beach that downsized to live closer to family in South Carolina, and he's going to be selling his business later this year. But they just wanted to have a little bit simpler of a life than having, you know, all the overhead and the traffic and everything else. As far as coaching them through it, I think that we have somebody on this call that actually handles that, from what I could tell. I tried to do a little homework on the people that were going to be on this panel. I see the hand going up. I definitely am going to want to talk to you, you know, after at some point, because I try to help them get together with a broker who can help them with selling and buying. I don't do any part of that. I just help them get connected. A big part of my business is helping people get connected to CPAs, attorneys, business brokers, things like that. So I handle the plan and maybe their insurance side and their investment side, but then some of the other things that need to come into play, I have a very big group of strategic partners to send to.
Nice. I have a quick question, just because I think that this is fascinating. What's always fascinating to me is when you watch like HGTV and they're trying to buy a house in LA or the East Coast, right? One of the coasts, the West or the East Coast. And they're like, their houses, their jobs seem comparable to ours, but then their houses they're way more than we'd ever pay for a house here, right? And so have you noticed a big coming to Kansas City and helping people Kansas City what they prioritize of their finances versus the people in the West Coast when they're prioritizing their finances? Was there something that stood out of what we prioritize that you didn't see coming when you moved here?
Oh my gosh, that is the best question you could have asked me. Like my first 2 years here, I didn't really work too hard to start building here. I kept my business in LA going. And when I would meet people, because I was started to try to build a little bit, the answer I got the most, oh, there's no way I have enough money for you. You're from LA. I mean, your clients must make a fortune. And I'm like, look, they make $150,000 a year minimum to be broke. Like, it's not what you think it is there. The biggest difference, like what you just said, people there buy houses based on what they can qualify for. I mean, almost always. The people that bought my house from me could barely afford the mortgage. Like that was the absolute max they could pay was what I was asking. And here, people don't really do that. You know, it's people say, oh, I want to buy a house, and they'll buy within their means so that they can save. So I have found people here are far better at saving. They tend to just have more saved because their cost of living is so much less, and they don't place a huge priority on buying the best house they could possibly afford. Yeah.
That makes sense. And we actually did that too. So yeah, that must just be a Midwestern thing. Scott and I both just buy houses. We're both like, yeah. We just thought that was like the absolute number you don't go to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes total sense. So
yeah,
I always like, they're like, I'm like a butterfly catcher. I'm going to buy this $1.5 million house. Like those shows blow my mind. Well, thank you for being on, Kelly. We really appreciate it. Excited to learn more about you. Charon, who are you? What do you do? How do you get to Kansas City? And who's Dan Smith to you? Because he's all over here in the comments.
It's Dan in the comments. Yeah. So my name is Charon Thompson, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charon Thompson. I'm the co-founder of Porterhouse KC.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Off 18th and Vine. We got a storefront on 18th and Vine. We help entrepreneurs, underserved entrepreneurs in the Kansas City metro area as far as starting their business and sustaining their business. So if you want to start a business, we'll help you in the process. We help you get the resources that you need to start your business. So we've been doing this for 4 years. We're a nonprofit, and we just love collaborating with other business in our ecosystem. We did some things with Lillian James. We did some things with Black Heartland Chambers of Commerce. We did just everybody. We are blessed in that field, and we're just doing it out here in Kansas City, Missouri. Also, as an entrepreneur, we started a coffee product 6 months ago because, as an entrepreneur, we drank coffee. So a couple months, I was like, hey, let's start a coffee. Dan reached out. He said, let's start a coffee. I was like, how are we going to do this? So we roasted some coffee. I was roasting at home, and it's a bad idea to roast coffee at your house. I didn't know it smelled like burnt popcorn. Nobody told me this. I thought when you roast coffee, it smelled like coffee. So it was a bad idea. So I reached out to Messenger, Isaac Hodges, and Messenger on actual LinkedIn. And he replied back, and he was like, yeah, I help you out. So when he replied back and said he helped us out, he was like, we'll roast your beans for you. And we just went with Black Drip with that, and we started our own coffee product. I don't know if you can see it. This might be blurry. But Black
Sean, a couple things. What does it say behind you? And then also tell us a little bit about your personal journey to where you are today to becoming an entrepreneur.
And tell us where to buy the Black Drip coffee, because I don't drink coffee, but they gave me a couple bags to bring home to Janae. She loves it. Loves it. Like we don't buy any other coffee now.
So 50 things one time or one thing 50 times. So as an entrepreneur, you have to go through failures. We want to see your failures here at Porterhouse KC. We want you to fail more often than success, actually, just so you can get to that point where you're going to be successful. And now as an entrepreneur, Dan and I, we started Smith & Thompson was our first business, which we actually was successful. But where we failed at is we couldn't find the resources to get to the steps that we wanted to. Like we were spending all over the place. But, now when you have the resources put together that we're creating, it works out for entrepreneurs. And as far as what we're doing here, we have a curriculum, which we worked with some guys from Mortar, Cincinnati. They gave us a curriculum to work with. And then we're doing a mentor-mentee program. The mentee program, actually, I'll tell you guys later because you guys are going to ask us what's our big success deal. So I'll tell you guys about the mentor-mentee, and the cohort a little later. But as far as, entrepreneurs, it's always a grind. It's always working hard, late nights, blood, sweat, and tears. It's you working all the time. In my entrepreneur's journey, I have a lot of, I'm not the most experienced, but I can always find you the most experienced person in your field to help you out as far as being an entrepreneur. Yep.
So I don't want to be ask you too many questions, but I got to know why you and Dan have such a like anyone that ever brings up your organization loves it. And it's always wildly positive from a variety of different aspects. Is it culture? Is it just the right place, right time? What do you think is the reason behind your success?
It's definitely culture and actually having a team, everybody working together. Like we are a family. Like if we have somebody that need marketing, we reach out to Lily and James. If anybody need any help with the attorney side or law, we reach out to Adrian and Haynes. So it's as far as, being an entrepreneur, you got to have these resources in order to operate. So with Dan and I, we're just positive. We knew each other for 20 plus years, and we always, best friends. We're frat brothers. We do almost everything together. You can't see one without the other sometimes. And actually, Dan right now, he's a professor at UMKC right now. Tell everybody, but he's teaching some business right now for some of our cohorts in our class. So that's pretty cool.
I feel like
also building a heck of a community.
Yeah,
I feel like my answer to your question, Scott, that you didn't ask me, you asked Charon, but I have.
Well, he just gave you free coffee to pump your business, so I don't know if I believe. No, I'm joking.
No. Listen, I think that the true reason that everyone has such positive things to say is because they went in this not caring if they made $1. I don't even know how their business structure works like that.
Makes sense.
They went in it to help businesses that they saw there was no place for them to get help, right? So They went in it with no expectations except for we want to help people. And that's how they function every single day. And I've gotten very lucky to be a mentor in their program, to be a judge on their things. And like you can even just see over here, they've got all sorts of people over here supporting them, that there's all, I mean, even here, they're putting their coffee in Kinship Cafe, which is PJ Roberts opening a coffee spot. And so they just go into everything helping people. And I think that's the real secret to why people.
Well, I hope you make an absolute ton of money because you accidentally did something not to make money, which is always the recipe, because the decisions you're making aren't made financially. It's just truly to help others. And by doing that, you created a phenomenal product. But that, Aaron, thank you for clarifying that. You got where I was going, but I hear just anytime your organization is brought up, it's just all very phenomenal.
Thank you. And I can go long talking about our cohorts and the people we worked with. Like I made a huge heart one time of all the pictures, and it's just expanding every day almost. And I also wanted to say that that we just ended our mentor and mentee sign up. So the next cohort will begin in January 2022. So the sign up for the next cohort will be January 22. So that should be amazing for us.
Yeah. And if you want to give back and be a mentor, you can connect with Charon here. I have done it. I got very lucky. I got Bliss Books as my mentees, and they blew up. They were in Oprah magazine, not for anything I did, but just because they were amazing women. They were the mentees in it are so dedicated. So, okay, that I almost went, they were so Derek, because we're going to Derek now.
Yeah.
And my words were playing with me. So Derek, who are you?
It's fine. It's fine.
It's totally fine. It's Tuesday afternoon. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
So I'm Derek Fine. Thanks, guys, for having me.
I just got it. I just got the "it's fine" joke just now.
Oh, well, that's okay. You'll get there.
I got it.
So I ended up in Kansas City because I'm doing mergers and acquisitions. I had a business opportunity up here, and I took advantage of that. I originally went to University of Kansas, played football there, and then also played in the NFL for a few years. I was at KU back in the good days with Coach Mangino, winning an Orange Bowl. So my network up here in Kansas City, even after being in Tulsa for about the last 8 or 9 years, was a lot larger. And, I felt like it was a good move and a good time to come up here and split the distance between my family in Oklahoma and then my wife's family in Iowa. And so we made that move up here, and we've been here since last September. And I've actually recently moved over to a different M&A firm called Players Capital Group. It's an investment banking firm completely made up of all former professional athletes, including football, baseball, hockey, and we're looking to add to that platform as much as possible with referral partners. And I'm really excited about the platform. It's been built out really, really well, and so the network that we have in place in terms of using professional athletes to be able to connect business owners, whether that be to a buyer. Or another seller, whatever that may be. We have a massive, massive network of data that's already built out, full of investors and businesses. So there's a really, really great opportunity there doing M&A. And then on top of that, I also have some other platforms that are complementary into M&A. 2 different ones being expense reduction partners. One is actually a local company here in Kansas City. They'll analyze every expense that a business has from top to bottom. And then the other one, they would be geared more for larger businesses that are doing a minimum of $100 million or more in revenue, or have a minimum of $1 million in utility bills or more. And they're actually starting to make a lot of progress on universities. We also do expense reduction with Bottom Line Savings as the company. Doing a lot of different things with pro sports teams. I think that we recently signed up KC Sporting. There's quite a few different teams, NFL, NBA, MLB. doing some really, really great things. So those are all kind of the different things within the financial world that I do. And the big thing that I really like, I forgot to mention this, the really big thing that I like about my expense reduction partners, and the reason why I partnered up with them, they've got a very transparent process that's based upon a contingency model. So if there's no results, then there's no fee that's ever paid. It's only paid once it's been recognized in the financial statement. And I think that that's really important right now to have a business model that's transparent like that, especially within our business environment due to COVID and as we move forward, because everybody needs as much money as they can get, regardless of the situation. Everybody needs to boost the bottom line. If you can boost it in a transparent manner and really actually help people and serve them, then I'm on board for that.
So one thing that'd be cool is if you could kind of give an example through franchising. So that's an expertise that you have. So if you are someone looking to invest in a business and put your capital to work and they come to Derek, how do you help them find a franchise or even figure out what franchise to pick to help them buy a business?
Sure. So I'm actually not doing franchising just yet. I'd looked at getting into franchising. I've got a few opportunities that I think would be beneficial for that. But I've got a lot on my plate at the moment. In terms of if somebody did want that, that's something I would connect them to. I've got a few different people that I know that are really, really good at franchising, and I could connect them to those resources, but I'm not quite there yet, Scott.
So kind of like you and Charon, I mean, well, pretty much everyone on this panel just mentioned connecting to others as a way of creating commerce. So for you, what is one thing that you love about being back more near Lawrence or Kansas City? Because you mentioned you're in Oklahoma, but coming back here, your network is large and it's thriving. So what's one thing that you really appreciate about Kansas City in general?
The thing I like about Kansas City in general is kind of similar to Tulsa. You know, Kansas City, it's a big city, but it's got a small feel to it. And you're able to grow really solid relationships with people. I think that's something that's, it's probably common everywhere, but to me, it's different. And it's a little bit more partial to me and sentimental from going to KU. And my favorite thing, 100% about being in Kansas City, is seeing Jayhawks all over the place. Hey, I'm telling you, Oklahoma. So I grew up a Sooner, right? I grew up an OU fan. And then when I went to play football at KU, then that completely dropped. Oh, man, being around OU and OSU fans all year, every year, it's the worst, man. It's terrible. It's kind of like being around Mizzou fans all the time, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Madison wants to know, did you play with Ryan Murphy?
I did. Yep. Good guy. Played with him and his brother.
I believe that might be her fiance. So good thing you said
great
things about him.
Fantastic.
And Leslie says, Rock Chuck.
No offense to all the Mizzou fans. Just kidding. Full offense.
He's like, full offense, but still work with me. Well, my favorite comment of this whole thing was, and get as much money as possible. That's kind of how I like to live too. So yeah. Welcome. Also a KU athlete right here. So we're going to have to connect on the back. Not football. I don't know football, but other sports. So, and I think we got a few KU fans. So you ended up on the right panel. And I didn't see anybody's face too bad when you said the Mizzou. So we'll let that slide. All right. Well, this is my favorite part of the show. We're going to talk about your biggest win of the year. It's been a tough, this question, first we were like, biggest win in the past few months, biggest win of the year. Now we're like, your biggest win of the past year and a half. I don't know how long we'll be asking this question, but it's been a tough past year and a half. People love the optimism on the show. They love to see that great things are still happening. We hear all the negative stuff in the media. So Kim, tell us some of your biggest wins this past year and a half.
Wow. Well, I've had some really, really big wins. One, I do want to give a shout out to Porterhouse KC. They're my favorite people. We do a lot together. Charon was kind of being modest about what we do together. They're the guys that I can call on Thursday and say, I need you tomorrow. And they show up. So my biggest wins, I would say, one, the restructuring of the chamber and our new focus. For us, it's really, really important that we start developing the next generation leaders. And so putting together our partnership with BXKC, which is Black Excellence Kansas City, solidifying our partnership with Porterhouse KC. Big. We obtained a partnership with T-Mobile, which is our Chairman Circle member, which is up in the big dollars. And they've become partners. We're partners with the Monarchs. So the Monarchs franchise is one of our bigger partners. But I think the biggest thing ever is our HYPE program, our Heartland Professional, Young Professionals and Empowerment Program. I think for us, it is going to be about how do we develop that next generation where we don't have a gap in leadership. And so through that program, we're partnering with YLP, which is the Young Latino Professionals, and HYPE. And this program is really mapping out to be huge. We've got BXKC, Porterhouse, and then those collaborations. We're not trying to be the end all be all one stop. There's so many resources out here. And so with places like Porterhouse, EBB, I don't want to, I can't fail to mention Kier Cherie with the Entrepreneurs Business Basic. I mean, she's a partner. And then Heartland is developing its Heartland government arm. So be looking for us to start working on some legislative things. So we're stepping up our game. Let me say that. So for me, I think that was the biggest win. We moved to Kansas City. We have a new office that's state of the art in Kansas City, Missouri. So we're on the Missouri side, although we cover Missouri, Kansas, and Iowa. I'm getting partnerships with Casey Risen, Civic Council, Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. We're working with them. So we're really expanding and branching out. And COVID for us, although it's been a tragedy, for me, it's been really, really good because it's given me time to just sit down and look at how do we really come out of this different. So, my focus is that we don't come out of this the same as we went in, but we come out with some real partnerships.
Do you feel like people, me with the questions that other people might not ever ask you, right? Do you feel that some of these bigger businesses have been more willing to have meetings and or have just come to you to sponsor more since the world kind of shifted after George Floyd?
Somewhat, yes. Somewhat. And before I answer that question, I want to jump back to say there's been another big for me, and that is my partnership with the Kansas State Chamber of Commerce. That has been amazing. And I saw Jeff Chappie on, and I hope he's still listening. But our partnership and our friendship is what has introduced me to the state of Kansas. So I'm in the 2021 class of Leadership Kansas. We're the GOATs. So I just want to put that out there. We're the greatest class of all times.
Oh, I was like, yeah, what do you have?
They have this thing, but we know we're the greatest. But yes, if you think about after George Floyd, post George Floyd, I think George Floyd actually opened up the eyes of a lot of people. It was more exposed than it's ever been, although it's always happened. I think the coverage, and sometimes even though the media can be a little bit overboard, that coverage and it being out there consistently has caused people to really face some of the disparities in our country and the truth. But all in all, and I will say this to anyone, I believe that most people genuinely want to help and want to do something. They just don't know what and how. And this opportunity between George Floyd and the pandemic kind of pushed everybody down where they had time to think. And so, yes, I think that more of these large corporations have said, okay, we got to do better and we have to take the lead.
Well, I would agree with you on all of that. I'm glad that you're feeling that, hopefully, in sponsorships and that type of stuff over. And again, you can connect with Kim right here on LinkedIn if you want to help sponsor. So, absolutely. All right. Well, perfect. Kelly, what has been your biggest win in the past year and a half? And have you stayed in Kansas City during all this, or have you been going back and forth to California? Because I know they've had a lot more lockdowns than us.
They have. I used to go every quarter. It was awesome because I got to see one of my sons still lives there, and other family and friends, and do business all at the same time. And I have only been back once. I went back at the end of April. It was hard. I mean, my mom and my stepdad almost died, or my stepdad almost died from COVID. My mom didn't, but she was very sick with it, and I couldn't do anything, right? And I'm like, I have to come out. They're like, you're not getting on a plane, you're not driving, just stay home. So, one thing that has been a huge benefit to me is because I had a virtual business starting in 2015 when I moved here, because I would do a lot of appointments, online with clients. I didn't skip a beat when COVID started, really. Which was helpful because so many people in my industry are dependent on doing like in-person client workshops and everything else. And I just never had. I always did referrals and everything. So I barely traveled. Yeah, I'm just starting to again finally, but it was really hard, not doing it because I was so used to it. I have a couple of big wins. Am I allowed to tell you more than one?
Yes.
So on a personal level, I just have to tell all of you, I got my bachelor's degree in June. Finally.
Good job.
Yeah, I had finished 3/4 of it in my 20s, but I had my first kid right after I turned 20, and then I had 2 in 15 months a couple years later, and man, it was just like a whirlwind. So I went back and I finally finished. So that was like a huge deal for me because, I have chartered financial consultant designation, which is a lot of classes, and I have all these licenses and everything else and certifications, but I really wanted that for personal reasons, so that was my personal big win in the last 12 months. And in fact, it was like just 2 months ago. But from a client perspective, I take at least 1 or 2 pro bono clients per year anyway. This last year, I've really tried to extend, like if clients are in a hard place and they want help like budgeting or debt payoff or whatever, I usually, I'll take them and I'll help them, even if it's, they're not paying me, because to me, it's really important to always give back. It's just always worked. You know what I mean? For me, I've had some people say, why do you do that? You need to build your own business. I'm like, but I am building my business. It's making a huge difference in other people's lives. But then I also have a couple of clients, and these were huge wins for them. One of them, they make a substantial amount of income and they work in the entertainment industry, and they literally lost all of their income overnight. And even with the pandemic extra unemployment pay, I mean, we're talking a gigantic pay cut. And even though they got a PPP loan, they were still struggling. So I had them set up a solo 401k because they're just employed together, the husband and wife. And I did it for 2 different clients. One of them had a cash flow need just because of the pandemic. And the other one had a cash flow need because the opportunity to buy a family farm came up. And both were under 59 and a half. Both had money in their retirement, but they couldn't access it without penalties. So I helped them set up, solo 401ks, which most people haven't even heard of. And they were able to borrow the money from themselves. And so they're paying themselves back the money instead of a bank. It doesn't show up on their credit. It's not like they get in huge trouble if they default. They'll get a 1099, but they won't get in trouble. And it made all the difference. The one was able to buy the farm. The other one was able to get through the pandemic time without having to sell their house or do something else. So things like that, helping people through the pandemic has been such a huge win for me, because I've brought on so many new clients that when the stock market did this, back in the spring of 20, people were freaked out. So, coaching people through that and helping them and making sure that they've got stable money too, that it's not all their money's going to be doing this. I know that was a few answers, but it's been really exciting. It's actually as awful as COVID has been, it's been really amazing to be able to feel like I could use some of the creative ideas that I have for financial planning to help people get through their hard times.
Well, first of all, awesome. And I love that you get so excited about helping your clients. But I also dropped out of college in my 20s. And the fact that you found time to go back and get it, post kids, post having a business, all of that, I am super, super impressed. So congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah. Thank you.
Charon, we've already got people over here. Dan's back. Over here. Tell us about, I know you got it on the tip of your tongue. Tell us about your big win. And while you go into that, because I know where you're going since you said a little earlier, tell us about, you guys were just about to launch some programs when all of a sudden we went on lockdown, right? So kind of talk to that too.
So during the pandemic, when that happened, we actually launched the podcast show, which we brought entrepreneurs and asked them how were they responding to being shut down. And it was some hard questions. Some people had to stop their businesses, but the successful stories, we opened up a storefront off 18th and Vine, and we actually operated, we had our first cohort during the pandemic, and it was all online, all Zoom. So we was actually teaching from Zoom point of view. And then when it was open, when we was able to meet in person, we actually had our second cohort during when we was able to meet each other. So today, one of our big wins right now is that they are graduating today. So can y'all see that? We survived the Porterhouse KC second cohort. So they survived our program, and they actually graduate today, which is amazing. That's one of our big wins. And during the pandemic, also, we started the coffee product. So, I mean, working and collaborating with these groups and just working together, those are all big wins. See, there go one cohort right there. Bliss Books and Wine. So, yeah, working with everybody that was part of our program, those are huge big wins for us.
You guys have been doing some amazing things. So yes, go check out their cohorts. They've got the third one coming up in the mentor program. So go check it out. Mr. Fine, you've caused a little commotion over here. Joel misses the Mizuki. Kim talked about Jeff, but really Jeff was on here earlier. He gave a shout out to Kim, but now he wants to bring in K-State to the mix, right? So you caused a little commotion over here. So now, why don't you tell us about your biggest win and try to keep out of the drama?
I'll try to.
Let's talk George Floyd, but we don't want to talk to KU, right?
Right. I guess
I love the dynamics.
Questions hard for Kim. Well, because I knew that a lot of companies have come to me and asked me how to, and a lot of companies still are asking. So I want to make sure that they understand that on there. But yeah, let's stay out of that Mizzou KU drama. Sometimes
I love that it shows where we're going with the show and the audience and what people want to talk about. And I just think it's awesome that there's certain subjects people enjoy talking about, and then some they're like, "Whoa, hey, don't bring up the college rivalry."
Do not do it.
Big win, Derek, big win.
No more. Big win. Okay. So I've actually just got a few, but it's kind of all, and I'll be really fast. But it's basically what I've kind of done in order to add to my network. Number one was adding Optimally, the business expense reduction company. That was a really big win to be able to help add them to serve businesses doing between 500,000 in revenue up to 150 million. That just opened up the door to be able to help a lot more people. So that was one big win. The other win was me recently joining Players Capital Group. The platform is just so robust and the network's so big. This is a massive, massive win for me and anybody that I do business with, because we have access to lending, collections, and then we also share the wealth. So anybody that gives us a referral, and then we end up selling their business, that referral, we'll split that commission 25% with anybody that sends us anything, right? So if you send something to me, I'm going to make sure that you get paid as a thank you and spread it out very well. My last really big win that this is the one I'm probably most excited about. I recently became the leader of the business relations team with Operation Underground Railroad. If you're not familiar with this is an organization that's fighting human trafficking around the world. It's the fastest, if not one of the fastest. I want to say it's the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world right now. And this is a massive, massive win because I really want to help. And this part it's very near and dear to my heart. And, the thing that people and that I didn't understand before about human trafficking is a lot of times we think about the sexual exploitation side of it, but there's actually a lot of humans in general from all ages that are being put in slavery for labor as well. And this is a massive, massive problem. And for me, personally, this is a big win to help spread their message and be able to help spread the message that this is a major, major issue and we need to come together to fight this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being a part of that and spreading that message. I think that's huge. I think that's something that I think we could all learn more about. I think when you have a little girl, a lot of times they tell you what, but they don't tell you what the boys, right? When you have the little boys and they tell you what to look for. And so I have over the years, kind of paid attention. So I love that you're spreading that message. I did want to, go ahead.
So you talk about Tulsa to Kansas City and, the highway system. Why, can you kind of explain to the guests how that plays a role into human trafficking? Because a lot of people don't realize with Kansas City, we're a little bit of a highway corridor, which when you talk to people and you'll always find out like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you're so passionate. Or I didn't realize it affected your family. So kind of talk a little bit about the highway system and why that plays a role into it.
Sure. So any city in the country that's a hub with multiple interstates that are running through it, it's a massive, massive hub for transportation of human victims because there's access to go all over the country. So we here in Kansas City, Tulsa, Oklahoma City is really big too because you have major, major highways that are running north and south and east and west. And then even through Oklahoma City going from northeast to southwest. These places are massive hubs because it's easy to be able to get people from one place to another and coming through. Probably going to see a higher amount of traffic closer to the coasts and up towards like the Great Lakes region because of the waterways that you have there. But especially here in the country, in the middle of the country, basically going from one side to the other. And so it's we're definitely big hubs because there's a lot of trafficking that's going on from coast to coast and it comes right through here. Did I answer your question, Scott?
Yes, you did
Okay.
answer his question. Yes. So always just be aware. Always be aware. And if you see something, say something. Right?
Absolutely.
Derek, also, I want you to be aware of this. I Googled your name because we haven't met each other. So when you said you played in the NFL, I Googled people over here on the site. One of the top Googled things about you is, are you married? The answer is yes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I love it.
That's cool.
Any
That makes you
former
feel good.
athlete, that's one of the top Googled former athlete. That's always one of the
Derek, did
top
you know
Googled
that?
things.
No, not at all.
You're not the type.
Wait a second. Did I know about the question or that I was married?
No, that's the question on Google. If you
Okay.
Google you, the thing that pops up is he married?
I had no idea.
But
I haven't
that's
Googled.
saying, like,
I haven't
fine.
Googled myself since like Sunday.
All right, listen, Scott, we're going to get to your favorite part of the show, but I wanted to pull this up. I just thought this was hilarious. Rich said when Kelly said she helped her clients buy the farm. She literally helped her clients buy the farm. I love that. Thank you, Rich. All right, Scott's favorite part of the show. Before Scott gets on our call every day, I warn everybody they're going to have to answer some cheesy icebreaker question, but this is what makes him happy, so we do it, and that's why we've lasted 3 years, Scott. So we've got 5 minutes left, so everyone has 60 seconds to answer. What is your cheesy icebreaker question of the day? And answer your answers in the comments. I'll pull up a couple of them.
Okay, before we get going, what are the flowers in the background?
Oh, they're a gift from the building for an incident that occurred in my office.
Okay. All right. Well, the icebreaker for you that is inspired by going back to college is, what is the one class that gave you the hardest time? Or you can answer, what was your favorite class that you took?
My
Kim,
favorite-
you can go first.
You want me to go first, right?
Yeah. What is your what was the class that gave you the hardest time, or what was your favorite class? You can answer either or.
I would say my favorite class, and believe it or not, was Econ 202. My professor reminded me of, if you ever seen House, Dr. House, he had prosthetic legs, but you couldn't tell, but he always wore these chucks. And his attitude, his walk, even his persona was all Dr. House. And he was my favorite. He made me like econ because I hated econ, but he made me like econ, and had an office that when you walked through the front door, you walked into a door of books, and you had to maneuver your way around all these books stacked on the floor, on the wall, to get to him in a corner. That was my favorite class.
Thank you, Kim. Kelly, what was it? Maybe it was recent. What was a hard class or a class that you loved?
I would say my favorite class was new venture financing. That was really fun to go through all the exercises of having to come up with different ways people would finance their business. You know, my final project, I picked actually a local company that is a client of mine to put together a whole presentation for them that they would give to, you know, a venture capitalist or an angel investor. And it was really challenging and really fun to actually do, which was a nice perk.
Charon, what was either a class you didn't like or a class you really liked?
So a class that I really had a tough time with was classical music. I couldn't remember the dates because they were almost just alike as far as the sound. So that was my toughest class.
Yeah, and at the University of Kansas, we had an intro to jazz, and we only had one person that could, because you had to listen, you had to be like, what was the genre?
Yeah.
Where was the region? What was the date? So we did the Mighty Ducks Flying V, where the one person would know the answer and everyone would be like, all right, what was that one?
Yeah.
So Derek, for you at the prestigious University of Kansas, what was a class that was really tough and you didn't like, or what was a class that you just loved?
That's a great question. Probably the class that I liked the least was probably Slavic folklore. Yeah, Slavic folklore.
No way. You got an A in that class. No way you didn't like
Not
that.
even close. We had to, we ended up having to, oh yeah, no, I passed, right? C's and D's get degrees on the football team. No, we had to one day I remember we were cutting out, I think like paper plates or something and making masks. Now, if you're Slavic, absolutely love you. I thought it was going to be an interesting class. And then it just didn't go down that way whenever I started coloring masks with my crayons and stuff. And yeah, that was that.
I like it. Aaron, what was a class that you either loved or you hated when you were at KU?
Yeah, so I don't remember barely anything from college, but I remember this one thing. It was in psychology of personality. This is literally my only memory from college. And I remember the professor saying that the taller a woman liked a man, like as in a mate, the taller she liked him is the more security she needed. And at the time, my boyfriend was 6'8" and I'm 5'2", right? And so I just remember being like, am I insecure this whole time and I didn't know about it? And that's literally all I remember from college. I was so absolutely traumatized, obviously, by it. How about you, Scott?
So remember when I forgot what trivia question you asked me the other day and I answered it? I don't know what it was. I picked the song that you want. I picked Shania Twain.
Oh, yeah.
So this is our anniversary because that was Dr. Alardi personalities that you took that class. And I only went to one class that I didn't have to go to. And it was Dr. Alardi. He was that good as a teacher and really exposed a lot of things that ended up being proven to be right. For instance, he didn't predict the opioids crisis, but he warned of it. Wow, cool. We both had the same favorite teacher.
That's so crazy. Well, and I do social media now, so psychology is a huge piece of it, and you do networking, which is a huge piece of it, right? So, okay, I thought this was fun, but this also means your privacy's on, so I'm going to pull this. Usually we don't pull up comments where your privacy's on, but I think this is very fun, so I want to pull it up. We were the local company, and the financial case presentation was fantastic, Kelly, of the secret local company that you represented. So go fix your privacy stuff. And Jeff's favorite class was 9 p.m. Sunday free pizza at Pinewood Bar. So, yes, that sounds like that. So, oh, look, the secret person knows you, Jeff. All right. Well, thank you so much to everybody that came on here. If you want to connect with our panelists, go connect with them on LinkedIn. You can catch this show, replay of it on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. We will be here same time, same place, new panel next week. Have a wonderful week and try to stay dry this week. Bye, guys. Thank you all. Thank you.